Hey guys, and welcome back to Oak Abode. I want to do a really quick video today showing you guys our raspberries. So we planted these raspberries about 6 months ago and they are already giving us a ton of fruit. So I think I'll just tell you what we did when we planted our raspberries, and then we actually have some other raspberry plants that were kind of thrown in the ground where we are currently living at our rental property. And those ones are not doing nearly as well. We're not getting any raspberries off those. They're both from the same nursery. They were basically the same product, planted the same way. So I think I'll just tell you the difference, what we did for the ones that are doing really, really well. We can't believe how many raspberries we're getting after just planting them 6 months ago, and after winter and come next year, I think we're gonna have a lot of raspberries. So these were all bare root raspberry plants. So when we planted them, they basically just looked like sticks. There weren't any leaves, there obviously weren't any raspberries. There are actually 2 raspberry plants that never came up for the bare roots. They never showed any signs of life. So we did purchase nursery raspberry plants to put in their place, and these bare root raspberry plants are actually doing so much better than the live plants that we bought from the nursery that were much more expensive. So we love bare root plants. The bare root plants are so much cheaper and they're doing so much better. So the first thing that I have had a lot of success with and would kind of recommend if you're wanting to plant raspberries is to go for those bare root plants instead of the live plants. Not only because it saves money, number one, but number two, because then the plant can establish right in the ground and it's not getting all its roots messed up. It's not gonna have transplant shock, which is something that the live plants get. Now, the kind of the bummer is that sometimes the bare root plants just don't ever show any signs of life, but I think where we got them, we put in, I think 15 plants. We only had 2 not come up and the rest are looking fantastic. So that's number one. The bare root plants are my biggest recommendation, my favorite thing. We actually did the same thing with our strawberries and those also are doing insanely well. The other thing that we did that I think is the main thing that made a big difference, this soil where we're planting does not have a lot of organic matter. It's been heavily kind of monocrop, cash crop, factory farm, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. So it's extremely dusty, not a lot of organic matter. However, what we did was we took the deep litter chicken bedding from our chicken coop and we put it, basically we made kind of a mulch out of it. So we put it around the raspberry plants to kind of help keep in moisture and break down over time and slowly release nutrients into the soil. But the other thing that we did is when we dug the holes for the raspberry plants, we mixed in actually that fresh chicken bedding. It wasn't even really composted. Before you do this, do your research on whether you want to take that risk or not. Some people say if it's not composted, you could either, I believe nitrogen can burn the roots of the plant. I've heard, I've never had that happen personally, but some people don't like to put it in fresh for that reason. So know the risks. And then the other thing to know is because it's not fully composted, some people think that you might be running the risk of kind of health concerns if you're going to be consuming plants that are growing from like fresh chicken bedding or animal manure that isn't composted. The reason that we weren't worried about that with these raspberry plants is because we weren't planning to eat any. We didn't think we would get any berries this first year. So we figured that by the time we were getting berries next year or even later, everything would be aged appropriately. Obviously, that isn't what ended up happening, but we've been picking berries off these plants and they've been doing just fine. I have used fresh chicken bedding in our garden for years. Besides just raspberries, I've used it just kind of in our annual vegetable garden. So again, that's not something I was overly super concerned about, but I do believe that between the chicken bedding, all the nutrients that comes with that, and also the bare root plants, planting them in spring versus waiting until the weather is warmer and buying live plants. Again, the bare root plants have just given us so much success. And kind of as a bonus, I guess I'll throw in using a really reputable nursery for our plants. I love to get my berry plants from Johnny's Seeds. It's not sponsored by them or anything, but I've always had the best luck with berry plants from Johnny's Seeds. I will link that website for you below. These are 2 little details that have made a big difference for us in growing raspberries and having a lot of success. Finally, after years of kind of trying it out here and there and not having great success. I guess the other thing is probably a lot of sun has helped a lot too. But if you have your own suggestions regarding how to grow raspberries, tips and tricks that have worked for you, please leave a comment below so that we can all learn from your experience as well. Since these raspberries are only about 6 months old, they haven't overwintered or anything yet, we are very excited to show you guys what they look like next year when they come back, and just how many raspberries we're getting from about 15 raspberry plants next year. So don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to join us again in the future. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.